Welcome to Pound for Pound ATL, arguably the best place to get facts and opinions on your Atlanta Falcons. And absolutely the best place to get your opinions in. The guys are here, the chat is ready, and the conversation starts now.
What's going on, football fans? Welcome back again to another live rendition of Pound for Pound ATL. I'm joined by my main man, Toby D. Man, what's going on, Toby?
Hey, man, a Falcons win in dramatic fashion once again against the Detroit Lions is what's going on, JR. Yes, sir. All the time.
Man. I don't know what it is about them Detroit Lion games. They always come down to something crazy, all the way back to the London game and with Mike Smith. It's just,
2014.
It's just always been just some craziness. And this past week was just, just the same again. It takes a goal line interception by Foye Oluokun to, ice the game, seal it away. Because, you got the ball back on your offense. You were in position that you wanted to be in. Right around 2 minutes left. You were going, all you needed to do was to sustain a drive. That's all you had to do.
Yeah.
And you were on your way to sustaining that drive. And Russell Gage fumbles the ball and gives it right back to him on our side of the field with 2 minutes left. And I was like, man, you have got to be kidding me. I was like, of course.
And I tell you what, man, you got to love film study, don't you? I mean, Detroit watched that when we was similarly in the same situation where we're on a scoring drive against Tampa Bay and they knocked the ball out of Russell Gage again and they get the ball. And the same thing happened in this game at a critical time. And, you saw Russell Gage looking sad over there. They almost gave that game away, man. Let's just go ahead and face it. But, hey, as the people like to say, the football gods were back on our side and Foye had to say
it was good play, a good read by Foye, a good disguise on his part. At the initial snap of the ball, he's going to what would be his right, the quarterback's left. That's where he's drifted.
Yeah.
And, at the last second, he, darts back, towards his left, completely fooling, Tim Boyle and causing the interception. So, I'll give props and credit where credit's due. People like to say, oh, well, if it wasn't for this, you'd have lost. Or if okay, look, but he did intercept the ball. So you can't say if it wasn't for that because that happened.
Yeah.
That was part of the game. Same thing a few years back with Deion Jones intercepting Drew Brees in the end zone, to seal that game away. So I'm not, by any stretch of the imagination, I am not part of the crowd that says, oh, well, you just beat the Detroit Lions without their starting quarterback and yada, yada. I don't care. I don't care anymore. And would you rather them, I even put that on Twitter. It's like, would you rather them lose to these teams? Because I know I wouldn't. You say, oh, they've just done nothing but beat the bad teams. They still had to beat them. They still had to play the game. And this is the same team that beat the Cardinals the week before. Everybody's beloved Cardinals this year. They're starting to really look vulnerable. But same thing with, a few weeks back, you beat the Jaguars. Well, they held the Bills to 9 points. Oh, you beat the Drew Breesless Saints, who also beat Tom Brady, twice and shut him out. So, So I guess, and what I'm trying to say is miss me with that kind of talk. Miss me with the idea that, every team you're playing is a bad team and that's the only teams you're beating. Okay, cool. I get it. I understand the sentiment. I really do understand the sentiment that you haven't beat a team over 500 and your point differential is absolutely insane. With, I think the last time I saw it, it was a point differential of a negative 119 or something of that nature. So when you lose, you're losing big. And when you win, you're winning close. But at least you're winning. Like, at least you are winning.
Yeah.
We're up to 7 wins now? That's 3 more wins than we had last year.
Yeah, exactly.
We get one more win before this season's out, and we'll have doubled our win total. We'll equal our win total for the past 2 seasons. So, as I tell anybody and everybody, I'd much rather talk about a win than a loss all day long.
Yeah. This was an important win for the organization, though, JR. You can't lose this game. You lose this game, you set your organization back, in my mind, for another 2 years. Because if you lose to a 2 at this time 11-1 team in the Detroit Lions, that don't look too good for the Falcons organization. And guys, I don't care how they won, you can't lose against the Detroit Lions, because that wasn't going to bode well for where your organization needs to be. And I'll take the win.
Oh, I'll take it all day long. I mean, now the part that somewhat concerns me is you're back to giving up on the very first drive. You're giving up 3 sacks. Now the offensive line settled down a little bit. They started doing some different things, moving the pocket around some. Matt Ryan was able to step up a few times through the pocket and get on the move. Where this is where I agree with some of the folks. I'll be interested to see Arthur Smith's system with a quarterback who can move around a little bit better, because I think there's that opportunity with the way they block and things like that. But I'll really like to see Arthur Smith's system with a competent O-line and a consistent running back, because there was another game where the running game wasn't all that great. I think you had, let me pull up the stats here. I believe you had
47 yards.
How much?
You ain't even got to look it up. I can tell you. 47 yards.
That's what I was thinking.
Versus the Detroit Lions 130 yards that they ran on us.
Wouldn't you like to have that Jamal Williams, or wasn't that the guy's name?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. Oh, Lord, let's see here.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're looking at Mike Davis with his, 7 carries for 28 yards, and Cordell Patterson with his 7 carries for 14 yards. I still don't understand why you're not getting more usage out of Quadre Olison. There are, in this first season, there are some interesting personnel decisions that are being made on both sides of the ball that I don't necessarily understand. Why you're not trying to get more usage out of Quadre Olison. I understand why Michael Walker isn't getting on the field more, but in a sense, I don't understand why you're not figuring out ways to get him on the field more. So there are, like I said, there are some interesting things that we're going to dive into this whole off season once this season completely wraps up. But like I said, I'm happy with the win. I wish it would have been a little cleaner. I think that's the biggest concern at this junction is even in the wins, they haven't really played a really clean game offensively. The closest clean game that you've played was against Washington, really. Everything else has looked kind of disjointed and choppy at times. Have you noticed that as well?
Yeah, I think, like I said before, they've gotten turnovers in them games that they won, and then they've given away turnovers at the same time in the same games that they won. They're not scoring a lot of points in these games that they won. And that's another thing that you're going to have to fix come next season. You got to be able to have the offensive personnel to keep up with some of these good teams, because that has been the common trend against some of these good teams that have been able to score a lot more points than you are able to keep up with your offense. And so that's going to have to be something that has to be fixed. But yes, they have played some sloppy games and still have been able to, fortunately, that's different from last year, come away with those wins as opposed to not being able to come away with those wins last season. So yes, they have, it has been sloppy in the wins that they've gotten. But I mean, look at the roster
And
you got.
that's a major part of it, really.
Yeah.
That is a major part of why it's such a I think why you're getting such a mixed bag is that you have such an up and down roster, especially when it comes to this O-line. This O-line, like you'll have a game where Matt Riley is somewhat running for his life, and then you have a game where he is absolutely running for his life. And the games that he's somewhat running for his life, he's able to like partially operate and, you know, make his progressions, his reads and stuff like that. And the games, which I really thought that's what was fixing to transpire when on that first drive they sacked him 3 times. I was like, oh Lord, here we go again.
Yeah.
You know, because he does seem to, when you hit him early, he's at a point, I guess, in his career where he's, you know, he'll get rattled and quit trying to, you know, make reads per se, which is problematic. I mean, because you won a game where you were almost outgained by 100 yards.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, they had the ball for 38 minutes. That is nuts to have the ball that long. I mean, if you look at the stats, JR,
I'm pulling up. This is the first time I've really pulled up a box score.
Detroit basically should have won that game. They control almost all the statistics in this game. Yet the Falcons will still able to find a way to win.
But see, for some people will shake their head, but in a way I find that like there's an aspect of me that finds that encouraging. Like the difference here was penalties. They had 6 for 30, which ain't that big a deal. And they had an interception, but we had a fumble loss, so that negates that. You were 0 in the turnover battle. Heck, you let them score. I thought this was the case, but I wanted to double check before I open my mouth and said it wrong. You let them convert on 3 4th downs.
3 out of 4. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That was. I mean, like I said, Detroit was winning in every statistical fashion you can think of. They even won on third down battle. They had more third down conversions
7 of 16, and we had 2 of 8.
Yeah. Yep.
So, I mean, that's I mean, but I'll give it to them. You know, when it mattered, when it come down to it, you know, they were able to make the plays that they needed to make. They were able to stay resilient. I mean, you had here's a difference for you. The second and the fourth quarter was the money quarters. Like going into the half and closing out the game. Like, if that's where you're going to win, like, then I'm down with that. Because it's been a while since we've had that kind of, that kind of production. I'm still trying to get daggum Michael Walker's snap counts. I think that point's gone now, but I'm trying to figure it out. Oh, Lord. I got all kind of things going on over here. Anyway, we got a new. We got a new like Echo, one of those little Echo things, because I'm trying to set up a do-it-yourself home security system. Anyway, there's some things over here talking to me while we're doing the show. But hey, whatever, it can mind its own business. But yeah, so it's Yeah, I'm sorry. I lost that messed me up. I lost my train of thought. I was thinking about how there's been not a ton of like favorable things. There's been mistakes from this coaching staff that you hope going into year 2 they get they start to get shored up as they get their footing under them. But I do like the mental resiliency that we are playing with, that this team is showing.
Right.
That is that's encouraging to me. I know a lot of people, Fair Play Sports in comments is already saying not impressed with Smith at all. 2022 will tell us the truth if he's the coach we need. Like, yeah, I get it, man. I really do. I get the fact that people are still like kind of out on Smith. And right now, I mean, I don't blame them, to be honest with you.
I mean, it's basically one of them things. The analogy, it might be a stupid analogy, but there's nobody going to be good enough for your daughter. And regardless of who come in, if they can't absolutely show out and help this team actually have a winning record and really make the playoffs, then they're not worthy of being able to coach the Atlanta Falcons. But you got to give Arthur Smith one more year. Now, like I said in the previous live stream, I do, however, believe that Arthur's not going to get that long of a leash to be able to get this team turned around. Because Arthur Blank is not going to be able to wait that long to see it turn around. I think he's going to get another 2 years to be able to do it. Him and Terry Fontenot, or both of them will be out on their butts. But one good, other than them having the 7 wins, they could possibly get 8 wins. Another good high note for them is what Kyle Pitts is doing in his first year. And we got to get to that.
That'd be good to go ahead and transition into that as the fact that, like the thumbnail said, on Sunday, he broke Tony Gonzalez's franchise record of most receptions most yards by a tight end, for the franchise. Mm-hmm. And he moved up to number 2 on the list of most yards by a tight end, a rookie tight end ever, only now trailing behind Mike Ditka, which he could, potentially break. I think somebody said if he has, I think it's like 60 yards the next, per game, the next 2 games.
If he, right now, he could tie Mike Ditka with 127 yards, and he can break the record with 128. If he can average at least 64 yards in both of those games, at least the last 2 left, he can actually break the record.
Which, I mean, you got to figure that, that is something that they may be in a concerted effort to try to facilitate, because as you said, before, this is, this helps with the, the publicity of it. This like you lost what many consider to be the, face of your franchise in Jones. Now, you basically just replaced his production with a rookie tight end. Now I know a lot of people want to focus on the fact that he's only gotten 1 touchdown, but his just like Jones, his effect is what allowed Hayden Hurst to get that touchdown. Not allowed, but it put Hayden Hurst in a desirable matchup where he had a defensive end covering him. Which allowed that pass to be completed on a beautiful throw by Ryan, I might add.
And it was. It really was. Yeah.
But so for all the folks who are wanting to consider Kyle Pitts a bust already, first of all, I shake my head at anybody who's wanting to consider a first-year player a bust. But a first-year player who is breaking records and earning a Pro Bowl spot, I don't know how you. His first year. I don't know how you could consider that a bust. I really don't. I don't think we've had a rookie earn a Pro Bowl spot.
Not his first year.
But I mean, Tony Lambert is saying Mike Ditka put up those numbers up in 14 games, while Pitts is still impressive. He's getting 17. They shouldn't be considered the same. We can't do that with records, brother. If that was the case, Babe Ruth would still be the home run king. A record is a record. Yes, if you want to put a asterisk by it and say, 17 game season, that's fine. But, the record is still the record. Nobody in sports really, ever says that. I guess you.
I mean, listen, there were guys that were getting sacks before sacks was counted officially. Okay. They didn't start counting sacks till later on. And some of them guys should have made it into the Hall of Fame way before they got old. Okay. So, but that didn't happen. And who knew that there would be 2 more games added on
Right.
when after Mike Dixon's career.
Exactly.
Come on now.
The record is a record. If that's one of those deals
Yeah.
that and look, in a sense, rightfully so, when people talk about it, that's when you say, well, he had a couple more games to do it, and you move on. So that's to me, that's how you do that. That's like, like I said, with the home run deal in baseball. All right. Excuse me. All right. Let's that pretty much covers the opening salvo. That covers the Detroit Lions game. So now let's get into chat, and then we'll see where the conversation goes from here. Joseph Thornton says, "What's up, pound for pound? It's not over yet." Same thing. Millie Mills in chat. What's going on, Millie? Wound Carter and Anonymous are in here with us. Wound says, "Rise up, pound for pound family. Glad to be here on the last episode of 2021." That is true. I didn't realize it is the last episode of 2021.
Yep.
We will see y'all next year. Da, da, da. I did that when I left work on Friday or right before Christmas. I've been on vacation, so I was like, "Yep, I'll see y'all next year." Everybody gave me the groan, as they should. Millie Mills says, "Nah, them bad teams are professionals at the end of the day." That's right. They're all professionals. They're all getting paid to play the game. So, they're out there trying to win as well. I didn't see anybody laying down and letting us win, evident by the box score that we just talked about. Anonymous says, "I'm personally happy with the team. The team is making progress this year. We 1,000% lose that game last year. We've said that about a few games that we would have lost last year." Joe Houston says, "What's up, fellas? When are we going to start doing more on your draft scouting and mock drafts?" We're getting close, Joe.
It's coming.
If y'all want a preview of that stuff, I always at the end of the show encourage y'all to follow me on Twitter, not just because of follower numbers or whatever, but I do try to put out what I would consider to be interesting content. And I've already been scouting running backs and putting those profiles on Twitter. So if you want some of that early kind of stuff, Joe, check me out on Twitter. Step Program says, "Bills have randomly been bad this year. There's a chance to win." I mean, yeah, there's a chance. Like you're going on the road, but as we'll get into here in a little bit, you just put a rash of players on the COVID list. So, and some of them are pretty important. Hayden Hurst and Jalen Hawkins being names at the top of the list to me.
Yep.
So, a tough game, like a slim chance, just got slimmer in my opinion if those guys don't make it.
Yeah.
Millie Mill says, "Bill's been losing games from teams who just run the ball at them." Well, hopefully this will be a game where Patterson and Davis can refine their legs and the offensive line can start opening up holes again. I would love to get back into that 100+ yards column. Let's see. Xavier Littman says, "We have to understand that when it comes to winning these games, proven free agents are not going to want to come to a losing situation. The more we win, the more people take us seriously moving forward." Yeah, to me, it's exactly like somebody kind of got into it a little bit with me, talking about carrying confidence over into the next season. Like we saw how that worked with Quinn. We always had those surges at the end of the season, and you're like, "Oh, well, maybe it'll carry over," and it never did. But this is a different staff with a different mentality, with a lot of different players. So you hope that the winning is helping them build confidence on what they need to do to win and laying the groundwork for a winning culture. So that's where I say the difference is there. Now, if they come out and with an improved roster next year and play the same way, then you're going to start getting a side eye from me.
Well, exactly. And
Fred Butts says, "After we beat the Bills," I love Fred Butts' confidence. This man has been having us going to the playoffs, winning the playoffs, going to the Super Bowl, and now beating everybody every week, and I love it. Anyway, he says, "After we beat the Bills, we're going to the playoffs." See, told you. I didn't even finish reading the comment before. He's still, look, for us to get into the playoffs, we have to win out, which is troublesome. and you have to have a lot of help. Like, you've now taken it out of your own control. And that's where, to me, you end up getting into sticky situation. So False Star Falcon says, what's going on, fellas? What's going on, False? Glad you're here, man.
What's up?
Let's see. Joe says, I really hope we draft Isaiah Spiller or Walker in the second round. We need a true running back. Good news for you there, Joe. That's what I've started profiling first, because I also feel like we need a good, consistent running back. Let's see. Ernest Gaines says, should be noted that Detroit lost 5 games this year by 3 points or less. So while they are 2-11, they could very well be 7-6. That's why the game was as competitive. They're about our skill level. Exactly. They have. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, that was mentioned on the game. That was mentioned during the game. The difference between us and them is that we're 7-2 in those types of games, and they don't have a great record there when it comes to that. And that's something they brought up in this game about the differences between those, games they've lost by 7 or fewer points. But good news for us, we're winning those games, whereas we were losing those games last year. And we had arguably better talent.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. You could definitely say that.
Yeah. Remember all those former first rounders?
A lot of them. Yeah,
we had gathering
the
up.
entire offensive line was former first rounders, and see how that would have worked out for us.
Exactly.
Let's see.
Yeah. Okay.
Jarvis Murray says Deion Jones should change position from linebacker to strong safety, almost like Willie Moe. He's been an interesting case this year. They've moved him. Like he should be a shining example of why, just move him to a different position isn't always the answer. Because he struggled playing that will linebacker. He's not been as consistent on the edge as he has been in the middle. So I don't know if it's a deal where, because he's not getting the call in to his helmet, to where he's having to call it out, maybe that calling it out also helped him process it. I don't know, but it could just easily be the position change. But as somebody noted on Twitter, we were kind of going back and forth. A gentleman by the name of Live Oak, I think was his name, talking about Deion just wants to hit you with a shoulder instead of wrapping up. Like he tries to do that shoulder check kind of deal. And man, that drives me crazy. Just wrap somebody up, I mean, I know I'm not a football player, obviously, and I ain't never tried to, actually tackle somebody, but you are a football player. You have tackled people. That you shouldn't be adverse to tackling people. So just wrap somebody up. Don't quit shoulder checking people. Oh crap, lost my place. How did I jump way down there? Anyway, Tasman, what's up, Tasman? He says, sup, Toby and JR.
Well, you been hanging out with us lately. What's up?
Pantera says 3 points about the Falcons that bode well for the future seasons. ATL is winning the games that they should win. 7-2 in one-score games. Best feather is 6 road wins. Past season have been short on all 3 points. So, yeah, I mean, there are things that are pointing to trending in the right direction. Finally got a home win, so that's nice. So they do know that they can win at home. They do realize that that's allowed, that you're allowed to win at home. So that's good.
Yep. The other thing is we finally saw Kyle Pitts show out at home, because he hadn't been able to do that up until this point. Had his first 100-yard game in our house as opposed to outside our house. And all 3 times Kyle Pitts has done that, we won the game.
Yep.
By the way.
Yeah, we need more games like that from, and the encouraging part to me about his 100 yards is it came on 6 receptions. So when he's making big plays, that's what I like to see.
Yep.
You didn't have to hit him for 12 times, meaning you're forcing the ball to him the entire game.
Right.
So yeah, that was good to see there. We read Tony's message there. Nick says get Pitts more touchdowns. I believe those will come as he starts to really figure out how to manipulate
they're gonna
the
come.
red zone. Because in college, like it was basically jump balls, a lot of times. So well, if they get that stuff ironed out, hopefully you'll see that, happen more often.
Yeah, it'll come. But one thing is evident, JR, is that he's going to bring more fans into the seats next year. He's already a fan favorite, and when you go to the Pro Bowl your first year, that tells you a lot about how the NFL and the fan base perceives you, and not just our fan base. I'm talking about all the different fan bases of many teams that love the game of football.
No, exactly, because you got to think about it. He received the most fan voting in the NFC, which also has George Kittle, who right now is arguably a better tight end by far. And so you're right. That means that other teams' fans are voting for Kyle Pitts. So, he's doing something here that I think is only going to get bigger. Let's see. The record would never be broken by that logic. I don't know. He's probably commenting on something that one of us said. All right, here we go. Let's keep going. Cindy says, all I can say is come next year, pass rush, please. We can't sack a paper bag. Look at the quarterbacks. Their jerseys never look dirty, always clean. Yeah, I mean, they got to figure something out. And if it's a deal where, like, these rookies can't get on the field or whatever, then bring me another shutdown corner so that Dean Pease's A-gap and B-gap blitzes can start getting home. Because we got to start affecting quarterbacks more than we are. I mean, because Tim Boyle, like, I didn't necessarily know who Tim Boyle was before the Lions game. I think I had heard the name, but I'm sitting there going, why does this guy look like a competent quarterback? He shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, I agree. Like, sacks aren't everything, but they sure do, like, help a situation. They help a team become an opportunistic defense. So, anyway, Nick says, happy early New Year's for Pound. Yes, that's right. Thank you. Happy early New Year's to y'all. I hope everybody had a great and happy Christmas and a Merry Christmas, because that is, that's just passed, and we're right in the midst of all that holiday season. I done had so many folks over at my house these past few days. I'll be glad to get back to normal on that end. Let's see. Patrick says, Kyle wasn't targeted enough. I'm willing to believe he'd have a few 100 more and have more touchdowns if he was targeted in the red zone. Yes, I agree, but it feels like, and this is just me observing the coaching staff, it feels like this is a coaching staff outside of whatever reason Jalen Mayfield. It doesn't seem like they are wanting to, like, really put a lot on rookies.
Yeah, in the first year. Yeah, and
oddly enough, Jalen Mayfield, other than him, like no other rookie has really gotten the same kind of treatment. Like, you had some runs with Ogundeji, but as soon as Steven Means came back, like, his snap count went down again. Richie Grant, even though he has received verbal praise from the coaching staff, he still doesn't get a ton of snaps. So it really seems like the coaching staff in their schemes are preferring veterans. So hopefully next year that production will go up. Genuine says Falcons won twice as many games this year. We're not going to the Super Bowl, but I'm pleased with the progress that the staff has had. I'm pleased too, because, like, I think Shanahan's first year out in San Francisco, he only won 2 games, right? If I'm not mistaken. Shanahan,
what's that again?
Like, he only won 2 games his first year out in San Francisco, right? I think.
Yeah, it wasn't. I don't remember exactly
It
what that
wasn't
record
much.
was, but it wasn't. It
Right.
wasn't
And
good.
like
That's for sure.
you had a little bit of a different story with Stefanski out there in Cleveland. You know, they got into the playoffs their first year,
Yeah,
but he
his
seems like
first
he's
year.
coming back
Yeah,
down a little bit this year. Like
yeah. Come back
Cliff
down to earth.
Kingsbury took a couple years, even with Kyler Murray, took a couple years, you know,
Yeah,
to get going out there, and he seems to have
yeah,
stubbed his toe a little bit these past. You know, you just kind of look around the league and kind of compare about what's teams that are in your similar
yeah.
situation. So anyway, Blizzard Wolfgang says, I will always be thankful for Matt, but life after Matt, if Aaron Rodgers is on the market, do we snap? Man, Aaron Rodgers is talking about he might retire this year. So I understand like your point there, but it ain't Aaron Rodgers. It might be somebody else, but it ain't him. So you're probably going to have a rookie quarterback before somebody like that, or maybe a Tannehill-esque situation. But let's see. Keep it on, keep it on. Millie Mills says, oh, yeah, thanks for checking out Kennedy Brooks earlier. I like that Kennedy Brooks out of Oklahoma. Before I get too much further into him, I'm just waiting to see if he actually declares for the draft. Right now, he said he's not going to declare until after their bowl game, which is today. So if he declares, then, yeah, he's going to go much higher up my list because I really liked him. Bridget says Arthur Smith needs to have a game with the better teams that is competitive, or either win the game, but at least be competitive. Okay, yeah, I get what you're saying there, and I thought, like I said, I think that stuff's coming. I really do. Braylon Robinson says, "What's your thoughts on these last two games coming up? What are your early thoughts on these Bills and Saints game?"
Get Kyle Pitts
I
that
think so.
record.
I think
That's
so.
what my thought is. And I know some fans, y'all gonna be mad at me because I'm not saying win the last two games and go to the playoff. Here's the thing. You gotta get fans back in the seats, okay? And you have a guy right now, you can build that, you really being able to build that future on. This is what you talk about when you talk about the future of the organization. Fans got to fall in love with the Falcons again. And here's a player that you have a chance to do that with right now. You get him that record. That's what you do. I don't care if it's 17 games. I mean, nobody knew that the games was going to go up the way they did over the years, and the records still count.
Exactly. And it's
get him that record.
It's a good way to roll into next season. You know, you can start hyping up a record holding rookie and all that jazz. And these are good things. These aren't bad things. And so and like you bust that record, and that may look, we lost Robert Quinn to a coin flip in free agency.
Right.
And he's over here having a sack-a-palooza out there in Chicago. So Kyle Pitts having holding that record could be what decides somebody like Alan Lazard of the Packers to come here and play for Arthur Smith.
Yeah.
Or, something like that. So those aren't bad things. So let's see. Here we go. Let's keep on keeping on. Let's see. Joseph says we're going to have to build this team through the draft for another year or so. I looked at an interesting concept on Over the Draft, or Over the Cap, excuse me. I was looking at Over the Cap's website. And if you trade, and obviously when you talk about trade, you have to find a partner, right? So
yeah,
just like mock drafts are pie in the sky, so are trade scenarios. I'm saying, oh, just trade this person or just trade that person. But if you can find a trade partner for either Deion Jones or Grady Jarrett, if you consider them not part of your plans of the future, and you can trade one of them away and get draft capital in return and free up cap space, you could potentially go into this offseason because the cap is raising. You could potentially go into this offseason with a cap number of $30 to $33 million in cap space, which is a far cry more than what you had last year. So, like, that could take care of your draft class and also maybe get you some better quality veterans to plug in with these one-year guys that you're going to have to fill out the roster with anyway.
Right.
Maybe you get somebody like a Ben Jones from Tennessee. You know, maybe you get somebody like a Harold Landry from a Tennessee. Okay? You know what I'm saying? You know, you let go of, like, you don't bring back Dante Fowler because I don't think that's going to happen. You let Tyler Davidson go because I think you found a better prospect in that aspect than Anthony Rush and Mike Pennell. So you let Tyler Davidson go, and then you know, like I said, you find a trade partner for one or both Deion Jones and Grady Jarrett. Because if Jarrett's not happy here and you know he's going to want to leave, then you need to get something for him. Like you need, because like you said, you like they're bringing up in, chat. You build through the draft. But see, you could do that, and this means that you don't touch Matt Ryan's contract at all. No restructure, no extension, and that means you're out. You go ahead and pay him the 40-something million this year and next, and then you're out from under that contract. And whether you want to re-sign him at that point or, I think next year if you were to trade him, trade Matt Ryan, you would garner a lot more savings. I think this year, if you were to trade him this year, it would be, I don't think you would gain as much. Because I know I saw somebody said in the chat, Nick did, was talking about, somebody was saying, trade him to the Steelers. And I'm trying to see if I can pull up where, how much that would actually save us if we were to trade him. See, this is the problem. Y'all let me have a daggum computer while we're doing this stuff. That
article had been flying around about that and about that idea. Here's my thing. I don't see Matt going anywhere in 2022. And as a matter of fact, I think that will be the year where they're going to see if they can try to help Matt Ryan get one before he leaves here. That's just how I see it.
I don't think, like, honestly, like I think the idea of them doing anything with Matt Ryan as far as like trading him or whatever, I don't think that's going to happen. But if you were to trade him, I'm going to go ahead and submit it right now. If you were to trade him, you would pick up this year, this coming off season, pre-June 1st. According to over the cap, because I just pulled it up on my computer. If you were to trade him, you would pick up $8 million in cap space. So somebody's going to have to come at you with a lot of draft capital for you to be willing to eat $40 million in money and only pick up $8 million in cap savings and then be without a franchise quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Somebody would have to come at you like what Detroit did with, or the Rams did with Detroit with Matt Stafford. So I don't see that happening, but you never know.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else we got? Josh Gilman says, if Ridley doesn't come back, do we use another first on a wide receiver? Oh, I'm going to set something up on a tee for you there, Toby. I'm gonna set you up. Like, I didn't even pre-read that one. I'm just going to go ahead and put that one on. The ball is on the tee, and I'm just going to step back. What do you think, Toby?
Well, it's very interesting that you should say that in the chat tonight, because I did say that I would finally reveal whom I would like to be in Atlanta Falcons. So, probably going to make some people mad right now when I say this, but I'm going into the bag of the Ohio State Buckeyes. And no, I'm not talking about number 5, Garrett Wilson. I'm actually talking about his counterpart over there that right now has the number 2. He won't be able to wear that if he becomes an Atlanta Falcon. Chris Olave. This is a guy in the last couple of years that has really caught my eye. Now, he statistically had better numbers with Stride this year, but the chemistry was really developed with him and Justin Fields when Justin Fields was there. And this is a guy that I think would be a perfect scheme fit for the Atlanta Falcons. Now, you guys will probably say, Toby, we have a skinny wide receiver who can't seem to take hits.
I just pulled up his stats. Well, I was like 6'1", 189. Oh, you're going to have to talk me into this one.
Well, listen, you watch this guy. He is a willing blocker, and he can definitely block in the run game. You've seen him run behind this guy many a times, and he's been able to help open up some holes to get his running back through there. And that's the one big thing that I look at, because we got to have run blockers that are not afraid to run block and not just want to catch on the team as an Atlanta Falcon. We're going to be in the Arthur Smith.
And that's why I brought up Lazard, Alan Lazard. If you can pry him out of Green Bay with the promise of being more involved in the passing part, that would be I'm sorry.
And it's just going to depend on what is paid, what he's going to want to get paid. You're going to bring the guy over here from Green Bay. But you have this guy that you can draft, right, that fits your scheme, what you want to do, can run block in the run game, okay, very crafty in his route running, and sees a vision for what he wants to do. When he gets that ball, he already has a vision of where those defenders are when he catches, and he's taking it to the house to get touchdowns, and he has deep threat ability. Now, my player comparison, Tyler Lockett, which is why you take this guy as high as at least from 11 to 20, because that's where I think the Falcons are probably ultimately going to end up at in a crowded record from other teams that are going to be tied with them. They're probably going to get pushed down a little bit from other teams. And I think Chris Olave would be a perfect early selection for me that I would not be mad at if the Falcons pull the trigger. Now, that's going to depend on if he's considered the best player available wherever they are picking it. But that's my guy.
I think that's a good pick. Now, granted, I think the Atlanta Falcons Twitterverse will absolutely catch on fire if we take an offensive skill player again 2 years in a row. But I understand the thinking behind it, especially if Calvin Ridley doesn't come back, because right now you're seeing what you have, and you've got to do something in this offensive core, for this team, because right now, Gage is your number one, ain't it? It ain't it. He may have a good game here or there, but he's not a true number one. So yes, I get the thought process of if you get confirmation that Ridley ain't coming back, then you got to do something at that number one wide receiver position. And Olave could be that answer. So that is a thank you for that T-ball there, Josh. We appreciate that. So anyway, he also followed it up with, is Russell Wilson a fit in Atlanta? I would have to say no, and I think because if Russell Wilson, which has been heavily rumored that he's done in Seattle, if Russell Wilson leaves, I think he's leaving for a bigger media market. I think he wants a New York or a team that is prepared to win, like a Denver. I don't think Atlanta would be enticing enough to get, traded here. Because he'd still be running for his life unless they absolutely crushed the offensive line rebuild. But, I like Russell Wilson. I think he would work well in a Arthur Smith scheme, but I don't think he would end up here. Anonymous is saying, he says Wilson wants to leave because they can't protect him. Absolutely nothing tantalizing about Atlanta for Wilson. He has more than likely going to the Aints. So don't get married to the idea. I think he ends up in like New York or something. I really get the sense that he's trying to like expand his brand the last few, his latter half of his career.
Listen, I'll tell you this much on the offensive line. Terry Fontenot, I know you probably won't watch this at all, but I need you to do what you told me in your dreams you were going to do. Get Matt Ryan some doggone protection, man. Now, I understand you couldn't get him that this year because you didn't have the cap space, but next year, man, you need to make that money work and get Matt Ryan. Because I don't see Matt Ryan going anywhere at least for another year, which is, I know at some point we're going to talk about this new findings about this fifth-year option that we discovered when it comes to dealing with rookies making Pro Bowl. But Terry, you got to get Matt Ryan some protection. Now, I think if they get Matt Ryan some surefire veteran protection, then he's going to be even better next year than what he is this year. I am a little shocked because I thought him and Arthur Smith would be a little bit better together, but that offensive line is not going to allow that.
That's the biggest problem to me. Is like when you have had the protection there, it's done. Like the offense has looked pretty good, or at least decent and consistent. When the protection breaks down, and that's been the problem. The part that I'm not gonna lie to you, Toby. The part that I'm shocked to see because I wanted to look at it. To date, right now, Matt Ryan is only been sacked 32 times this year. So unless Buffalo and the Saints tee off on him, he's gonna come in with which they could, which they could.
They can get 4 sacks.
They could
make it.
But if he comes in under, under 40, that'll be the first time in 3 years.
Yeah.
Now what I'm trying to see is like hit rate, because like hit rate has been stupid.
Oh, buddy. Yeah, his hit rate is up there. We already know.
Yeah, his hit rate has been absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
He's getting sacked on 6% of his dropbacks, which is nuts. That's nuts. The amount of hits that'll be put up at the end of the season. But yeah, I know he's been hit more than any quarterback to date, in the season. So I know that much. Hey, B Strong just tipped us $2. Thank you, B. He says, any chance the Falcons extend Jake Matthews? I mean, there's always a chance. Let's see. Let me go back to my handy dandy over the cap and see what we got here. Undo. Let's see. I'm going to hit the extend button and see. Oh, well, see, I got to do all kind of craziness. Never mind. I ain't going to do that while we're on air. But, yeah, I mean, there's a possibility because he's got – crap. Stop it. Nobody asked you. Trying to see what he has on left, what he's under contract for. He's under contract through 2023. Yeah. That's it. So, yeah, they could extend him if they like his play. They could extend him, and that's another way to open up some cap money. Because, like I said, I think as much as they didn't want to admit it, this is also an evaluation year for them. Because there were things they could have done last year to open up more cap space. You could have extended Grady Jarrett. You could have extended Jake Matthews. You could have extended Matt Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was things that you could have done to give yourself more cap space. But they had to see how these players are going to mesh with these coaches. That's always part of the process.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, Jay, I'm actually glad they didn't do that, because when you look at this free agency class and the potential that it has, it's probably one of the better free agent classes that I've seen in a long, long time, with the potentials that could possibly hit the market next year. And I think a lot of them will hit the market next year, more so than what we think. And the Falcons will be able to have their pick of the litter. Now, we know Terry Fontenot, if you don't line up with the market value, he is not going to spend a lot of capital on you like Thomas Dimitroff them did. That's not happening. Now, if your market just happened to be right on point, the Falcons will spend the money. But no, Terry Fontenot, I'm very interested to see if we can get up to $30 million. Because right now we're going to go in with possibly $15 million or so.
I'm gonna
in cap space because
right
of how
now,
high the cap
right
is
now we're
going up.
sitting at, for 2022, $15 million right now without doing anything. Now, granted, you only got like 29 players on roster, so you're going to have to sign some folks. Your draft class is going to take up about half of that already.
Mm-hmm. And I think it'll be another big one. I think you'll have another 9 to 10 players that you will be bringing out of this draft as well.
And Jerron Wade, who just tipped us $2, which we appreciate, he says, can't get any younger, need vet talent on the O-line. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, we 100% agree with you there. Because, he said he had a comment earlier. He says, need to get the O-line from free agency. Can't get any younger, need vet talent on that O-line. Of course. No, I agree 100%. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like I said, at bare minimum, bring me Ben Jones from the Titans. And there's like Andrew Norwell, I think is going to be a free agent again.
Hey, you think they would be able to sneak Jensen away from Tampa Bay
for money? Sure. Especially if it goes down in flames for them again. Because they're going to, like, Tampa Bay's going to have to start shedding money too. Like, you only hold that stuff together, that kind of capital for so long, So.
Yeah, now Jensen will get you in trouble with some penalties, but boy, is he aggressive. And he don't play by his quarterback either, boy. He will jump on your head about his quarterback. And we haven't had that guy in a while.
I'm coming over to kind of help up Matt Ryan. No. Yeah, I'll take that.
He going to jump on some
Let's
heads.
see.
Yeah.
James C. Obleton says, why don't we have more screens? Are you talking about screen plays? If that's what you're talking about, again, O-line. Like, a lot of this can be, like, I hate to say it like this, but a lot of that stuff can be laid at the feet of the O-lineman.
Yeah, don't hate to say it.
I hate to say it because it's true. That's why I hate to say it, because, like, if this O-line performed better, it opens up the playbook more. It gives Matt Ryan more confidence to be able to stand there to make his reads or move around.
Yep.
What he's having to do, as soon as the ball is snapped, he's almost having to predetermine where the ball is going, which all of y'all, every one of y'all know, that ain't no way to win. That ain't no way to have, have lasting success. You can't just get stuck on a target. But unfortunately for Ryan, he ain't got nobody really to throw to outside of Pitts. And his O-line ain't giving him the time to do it. So he's had to be like, all right, I'm going to snap this ball, and I'm throwing it to Cordell. Or I'm snapping this ball, I'm throwing it to Gage, And a system like what we documented it through the whole offseason. Arthur Smith's system is a yards after the catch, play action pass, condensed formations. Like, all that equals you need a little bit of time. Not a lot. You ain't got to have a ton. But you need a little bit of time. And right now, Ryan ain't got it.
And I don't know if you noticed it or not, but which is an indication of the offensive line. Arthur Smith normally is a guy that has explosive plays on 3rd and short or 2nd and 2. He hasn't been able to do that and call those types of plays this year because he don't have an offensive line that can hold up to get those explosive plays on those short yardage situations. He's normally doing what Shanahan would do on 3rd and 1. They getting a 50-yard bomb.
But you ain't got it.
You don't have an offensive line to do it. To call that.
See, somebody says, Antoine Wartime TV says, Sierra is not going to let Russell Wilson come to Atlanta. And then Josh followed up as a true, forgot about the Sierra and Future thing. I guess, does Future live here in Atlanta? Am I missing on that one?
Listen, it won't matter about Russell Wilson coming to Atlanta. Yeah, but it won't matter about no Russell Wilson coming here anyway because Matt Ryan ain't going nowhere at least for 2022. And now 2023 could be very interesting.
Ghost Pepper says, "What's good, PvP family? Man, Ghost, I'm glad you're here tonight."
Hey,
he says, highest passer rating on deep throws, 20-plus yards downfield. Matt Ryan, 121.7. His arm sure is dead with a little sarcasm face. Yes, and that is also misleading. Like, you can have a high rating when you don't take a ton of shots downfield. That's the only problem that I have with PFF. And I know, like, I see, like, I get the joke that you're making there because given the right situation, as I feel like we say it on repeat, Matt Ryan's arm isn't dead. Like, he can still make the throws that he's always been able to make. He may not have exactly as much zip as he did when he was, in his early 20s, but he can still make the same kind of throws and where they need to be. He's a really good anticipatory thrower, which works really well with this type of system if you're able to anticipate. Right.
Get him a line.
But Ghost Pepper follows it up with, we desperately need to address the left guard and center positions. Desperately need more receiving targets too. All this, I say it, and I say it a million times over. That's why I love this game. That's why I gravitated towards this sport more than any other sport, is because it takes all players.
Yeah.
If you don't have an O-line, your quarterback gets killed. Ask Russell Wilson from the vast majority of his career.
Yeah.
Ask Tom Brady when he played the Saints. His O-line couldn't protect him. What happened? He couldn't score any points because he didn't have his top receivers. Like, you can't do this crap by themselves. Nobody can.
Right.
I even put out a tweet. I looked it up before I tweeted it out because I wanted to be sure. Tom Brady ain't never won a Super Bowl without a top 10 defense. Ever. All his Super Bowls that he's won, every time he's had a top 10 defense. So that tells you right there, it isn't just Tom Brady. It's the entire team. Matt Ryan has had a top 10 defense, once in his career? Maybe twice? I know of once in 2017.
Maybe twice.
And that's the only...
2008, maybe.
But that's what...
They had a lot of veterans on that defense then, too.
There, if you want to point out a difference, if I know that I got a defense that can hold up, I'm willing to take a lot more shots, or I'm willing to take some more chances if I know I got a defense that can hold. But when I got a defense that can't hold water, or paling water with an empty bucket, with a holy bucket, I might not be as much of a risk taker. I might be more concerned about, like, how these drives go. It's just a thought, but that's what I like about this game. Fred Butt says Arthur Smith is a great coach. That's still to be determined. I like Arthur Smith, and he was my choice. But the jury's still out on exactly what kind of a head coach is he. Just like a rookie draft pick. You don't judge them off their first season. So, Derek says, do your guts feel comfortable with Richie and Hawkins going forward next season? I'm guessing we're not going to re-sign Harris or Harmon. Or do we pick up a veteran free agency this year? I personally would like to see Hawkins and Grant right now. Like, straight up.
But that won't happen.
Yeah, with this particular coaching staff, and also the fact that Hawkins has landed on the COVID list this week, which we've had a handful of players land on there this week. It seems like it's finally come around to the Falcons, which stinks. But I personally was hoping by this time of the season that's who we would have in the backfield.
Yeah.
But it hasn't given way. Obviously, the coaching staff still doesn't feel like Richie knows the system, so they're not comfortable putting him out there. Anything you want to add to that aspect, Toby?
No, I'm excited to see what they do next year. I honestly think that you could have yourself a formidable group. I've gone on record, if I'm not mistaken, about bringing Fabian Moreau back. And having Isaiah Oliver, you're going to have to sign him for at least 1 year because, after his injury or whatever, because his 4 years will be up after this year. So you're going to have to figure out something there. And since he was playing so well, I would have to see if I can get him back on a 1 year deal. I actually think that the secondary could be a lot better next year because now if you bring all those guys back, you will have had all of those guys in your system.
Yep.
For a season.
I agree 100%.
Already. I think you bring all those guys back and just changing at the safety spots with those two safeties, Hawkins and Grant. I think Hawkins and Grant could be amazing.
They give you what Dean Pease has shown in the past, which is Dean Pease is he just has safeties. He doesn't have free. He doesn't have strong. He just has safeties. And to me, that's exactly what Grant and Hawkins can be. They can be those interchangeable safeties. And you pair that again with the like fabulous, I know it's funny to be saying it, but the fabulous nickel that Oliver was playing. And dude, I would love that secondary. Straight up.
I'm telling you, if you bring that secondary back, JR, and then all you got to do now is just build around it and draft you some rookies be back there, and then you know how we like to use practice squad to put stash players on, and I think you have something though with the foundation of those guys. I think you should bring Fabian Moreau back, and I don't think it's gonna break back.
I think that Fabian Moreau has come along enough to where he's not the liability that he was at the beginning of the season. And that shows you that he's learning and picking up that system. And so I'm all for bringing Fabian Moreau back, especially if you also then wanted to spend, first or second on one of these blue chip, like cornerback, or safety prospects or whatever. Yeah, dude, I'm down for that. Tasman says, Toby and JR, I'm tired of seeing Matt Ryan get killed every time he drops back. So are we. It mainly comes from the interior and the right tackle. I agree. Those are the things that we need to address. Mark Turner follows that up with, which vet center could we pick up? I've been saying Ben Jones. I haven't.
I'm on
that train just because his familiarity with Arthur Smith, but I haven't gotten into it yet. But I'm pretty sure there's other ones out there.
If we can sneak, like I said, if we are able to sneak Jensen away from Tampa, that would be another. But if you look at that, if you look at the centers, JR, the possible centers that can hit the market, it is phenomenal in my opinion. It's phenomenal.
Because the power of the internet, I can go to my good friend. I say good friend. I talked to him one time. The Spotrac will have an easy list for me to look at. Let's see. Come on. Trackers and tools. I want free agent tracker. Come on. Let's see. Okay. All positions, we're going to look at centers, right? That's what we're pulling up. Offensive line. Man. That's defense. We need that too. We need all of it. Okay. Yeah, you got Ryan Jensen, Matt Pedris, Jason Kelsey, Ben Jones, and Justin Britt are the top 5 centers there. You bring me Ben Jones or man, if you could give me Jason Kelsey, but if you could, I don't think you ain't got that deep of pockets. But if you can bring me Ben Jones or Jensen like you're talking about, dude, yeah, dead up. Because that was the turning point with, Shanahan from year 1 to year 2. You went from Mike Persons to Mac. I'm blanking on Mac's first name.
No, Mac didn't come to last till this year.
No.
But you talking about here though? Yeah, you talking about here? Yeah, Mac came here
second year of Shanahan, and that was the biggest difference. And so you get me that kind of an upgrade. Alex Mack, that's his name. Good Lord, blanked on that one.
Yeah, Alex Mack. But
I know they do, but I can't you ever been driving in the car listening to the radio, and and then you're screaming at the radio anyway. So Bridget got me said Alex Mack. That's right, Alex Mack. All right. Millie Mills says, what do y'all think about finding a way to trade for Tyler Boyd or another vet wide receiver? Dude, give me a big body wide receiver. Give me this version of Mo Sanu is what I'm looking for. Especially I'll take a veteran wide receiver, especially if Ridley comes back. And let Ridley get back to doing like what he was doing, that boundary type stuff. So, Josh Houston says, first round draft Sauce Gardner. I would take Sauce in a heartbeat. Kid, like, you're really going to get to see him this Friday against Alabama.
Yeah.
If he balls out against Alabama, his stock is going to go through the roof. Let's see. Jerron says it takes at least 3 years before you can say fire everyone or not. That's always been my opinion.
Yeah.
Mark Turner says we need one mean BA sack machine. I would love that. We need somebody on the defensive line outside of Grady Jarrett that actually puts fear in people. Let's see. Tasman says Matt Ryan gets hit so much he doesn't have any more Sonic rings to give. No, he does not. He is out of Sonic rings. Jarvis Murray says Smith should use Zacchaeus more in misdirection plays than just deep route. Could open up the offense more like KC uses Mecole. All that every bit of that misdirection, counter stuff, all that relies on a competent and consistent O-line. Every bit of that, because they got to be able to make the plays. And when you're watching that Detroit game, if you decide to go back and watch it, I don't know how many times you saw Hennessy missing on that second level blocking.
Man, they was getting blown up. Period. I mean,
so
yeah,
it's
I mean, you pretty much know what you got at center. You don't have one. I mean, let's just be honest. But it's 2 more games left. You already know where you are with that. But the good news for you is you could possibly end up with one of those top 5 centers at the right market
and I think
price.
that if you go in with if you go into this offseason, to me, the top priority, flat out, should be addressing this offensive line. You should realize and look at that you need to bring in a lot more competent competition for Caleb McGarry and for Hennessy and for Mayfield. Mayfield may be great in a few years before his rookie contract's up, but right now, I haven't seen enough improvement from what he's doing.
Yeah, he's not the answer.
So I'm not willing to give up on anybody after year 1, but he's going to have to make vast improvements before I would consider it a success. Mark Turner, Turner says, Sunday, give me the Pitts and Patterson show. Yeah, Patterson's due for another breakout type game. He's been
he'll need it. He'll need it
quiet the past few weeks, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see here.
The last couple,
and sure. I wonder if he's getting to the point where he might be getting exhausted because he hasn't been used this much in a long time.
Yeah, I you know what? I don't even know if it's that offensive line is getting him blown up now. I mean, earlier in the season, it was just Mike Davis getting blown up and couldn't do anything. But that offensive line is getting more horrid as the season goes. And I'm so glad we're down to the last 2 games.
In a lot of ways, I'm glad that we're getting down to the home stretch because, it became pretty evident within the first 2 games that this team wasn't going to do much. And that's why, early on, about midway through the season, I was like, all right, look, let's just put the young guys in. Well, they obviously didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
So now I'm just like, okay, well, let's just end the season. Let's just be done.
Yeah.
So we can.
And I hate that because us fans get so excited before the season.
Hope springs eternal, sir.
Man, I tell you, we get into the season, we ready to end it already.
Normally about a game or 2 in, we're like, all right, fine, we're done. We'll try again next year.
Man. I mean, Tampa won the division for the first time since 2007.
Yeah. Well, look, it just goes to show, it can be turned around. And I think it will be turned around pretty soon, depending on how they want to address the areas of need. If they try to fix I think Arthur Smith made a comment this week or during the press conference about, let's see, trying to see if I can pull it up, talking about how he feels like what they did in Buffalo was something that they could do here in Atlanta, like the type of turnaround.
Yeah, yeah, not that dissimilar from what they're trying to do here.
So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see now that they've had a season to work together, like understanding the vision better, and hoping that they put forth a better effort. Because like I said before, there was a lot of cat meat left on the bone last offseason that they didn't explore.
Yeah.
That they
And I can't wait to see
Right.
why they didn't do it. I'm hoping that this kind of explains, because they kept talking about the future and all this. So I'm waiting to see why they didn't make some of those moves based on the moves they make in 2022.
Exactly. I mean, you got building block pieces because on this roster already, like Jerron Wade is talking about AJ Terrell being first in coverage stats
Right.
and PFF, and I mean he has been the absolute lockdown corner all season. So you got that, you've
Right.
got you've got something in my opinion in Ogundeji. You've got building pieces. Jalen Hawkins.
Yeah.
So, Michael Walker, you've got building pieces. Just now, how can we keep it going? So,
Yeah.
well, man, I think we've pretty much talked it over, covered it completely. Mark Turner just said, JR, pick us out a great lineman at the Senior Bowl. Yeah, that's something I'm going to be interested. Like, I got to start getting that stuff together because I will be down there the 1st of February.
Yeah.
So I got to start looking at who's going to be there and who I want to keep my eye on. You got that kid from it was Minnesota, the offensive lineman Falele. I don't know how, that's not how you say his last name, but the dude is like 6'8", daggum near 400 pounds. And he actually ran a touchdown in their bowl game yesterday. That guy is massive. So
Wow.
yeah, he's somebody I'll have my eye on for sure. But yeah, like I said, if y'all are interested in like draft profiles and stuff, I'm already getting into that on Twitter. It's at Grim1128. That's GRIMM1128. Toby.
Toby D 1991.
Keep your eyes peeled on the channel. I'll probably have another short out on Friday. I've really been enjoying those, and y'all seem to be liking those as well. So I'll have probably another one out on Friday. And yeah, that's it. So as always, Falcons fans, we just win, man. Peace.
Just win.